Welcome to another deep dive, but this one has a bit of a twist.
Oh,
We're tackling Henry V, but not through your typical history books.
interesting.
We're looking at him through the lens of a 17th century play called,
A play.
yeah, The History of Henry V.
Okay.
It's by Roger Boyle, Earl of Orrery.
So we're going to see like fact and fiction all blended together.
Exactly. It gives us a glimpse into how Henry V was seen, just a couple of centuries after his reign.
Right, and we have to remember the context too, right?
Oh, yeah.
This play comes from the Restoration period in England.
Ah, so lots of political change and upheaval.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's got to color how they portray things.
For sure, for sure. So are you ready to jump into this?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay. The play wastes no time. It throws us right into the action, on the eve of Agincourt.
Ah, Agincourt. Classic.
Such a famous battle.
It really is. I mean, it's the ultimate underdog story.
Totally. The English were totally outnumbered.
Yeah, but they had Henry V, and the play really emphasizes his belief in this, divine...
Oh, yeah, that he's chosen by God to rule.
Exactly. It makes you wonder how much that was really a factor versus how much is,
The play dramatizing things.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, it definitely adds this, almost a religious zeal
Mm.
to Henry's claim to the French throne.
Yeah, it's not just about land, it's about
Destiny.
destiny. Yeah, you got it.
And let's talk about those battle scenes. Whoa.
Ooh, vivid.
Super vivid. Like, you're right there in the mud and blood.
Yeah, the playwright doesn't hold back.
No, they don't. It makes you
Yeah.
think, how much is, exaggerated?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. There's always that question.
Right, but then there's this moment, right, where Henry orders the French prisoners to be executed.
Intense moment, right?
So intense.
Yeah.
But then he spares the lives of some of the French commanders, the noble ones.
It's like they're trying to show, the two sides of Henry V.
Yeah, like the ruthless warrior, but also the merciful king.
It's fascinating, right? Makes him a much more complex figure.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And it raises questions about, his true motivations. Was he always this calculating?
Right. Did he always have this grand plan?
Yeah. I mean, it makes you think about how Agincourt, even now, is this symbol of English power. But
there's a darker side to it.
there's always another side,
There's
right?
always.
But the play doesn't just stop at battles and politics.
Oh, no.
It throws in a little romance, too.
Let's talk about the princesses.
Yes. Princess Catherine and Princess Anne. Right away, we get this sense of, the political game everyone's playing.
Especially with Anne's betrothal, right? To the Duke of Bedford, Henry's brother.
Smart move.
Very strategic, trying to solidify that English influence within the French court.
Yeah, but Catherine, she's got her own ideas about love.
Oh, yeah. She makes it very clear that she's not going to settle for anything less than a king.
High standards.
The best of the best.
Right. And then you have Owen Tudor, who is Henry's close friend, and he's secretly in love with Catherine.
Talk about a complicated situation.
Yeah, it's this whole web of, love, duty, ambition.
And war.
And war. Crazy, right. You have to wonder if any of that was based on, real events or...
Or completely made up for the drama.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But it definitely adds this layer of, personal conflict to the whole thing.
Yeah, you see Tudor struggling with his feelings.
Right. Choosing loyalty to his king over, his own desires.
That makes you think, what would you do in that situation?
Tough choices.
Yeah.
But while all that's going on, the political intrigue keeps building. And this is where the Duke of Burgundy comes in.
Ah, Burgundy, now he's a key player.
Super powerful, right? He could tip the scales for either England or France.
Exactly. Controlled vast territories bordering both countries.
So everyone wants him on their side?
Naturally.
Yeah.
And the play shows him to be very shrewd, always looking out for his own interests.
Always calculating.
Yeah, but then you have his son, the Earl of Charlois, who's, all about honor and justice.
Total opposite.
Yeah, creating this interesting dynamic.
Right, like a clash of ideologies within their own family.
Exactly. And then, to make things even more complicated, the Dauphin returns to the French court.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is where things get really interesting.
So for anyone who might not know, the Dauphin is the heir to the French throne.
Right, so his arrival kind of throws everything into disarray.
Especially because the French king is, incapacitated.
Yeah, the Queen's been struggling to maintain control.
And now you have the Dauphin, who's been instigated by this guy, de Chastel.
Oh, de Chastel, he's a slippery one.
Up to no good.
Always scheming.
So we've got all these factions vying for power.
Loyalties shifting.
And a whole lot of resentment simmering under the surface.
It's like a powder keg waiting to explode.
Exactly. And amidst all this chaos, Henry decides to visit Princess Catherine. but in disguise.
A bold move, right? Risking everything.
He's smitten,
Yeah.
but it's also this really tender moment.
You see a different side to him, right? Not just the warrior.
Yeah, he's a man in love.
And Catherine's torn.
Of course. She's attracted to him, but he's the enemy.
It's a complicated situation with no easy answers.
Can love really bloom on a battlefield?
That's the question the play keeps asking.
Right, and just when you think maybe things are calming down, bam.
Burgundy is assassinated.
Total shocker. Changes the whole game.
It really does. The Dauphin is behind it, seeking revenge for his father's death.
But there are also these forged letters involved, right?
Yeah, planted by de Chastel.
Manipulating the situation, creating mistrust.
He's a master at that.
And it leads to Charlois, Burgundy's son, switching sides and joining forces with Henry V.
Wow.
I know, right? Huge turning point.
The balance of power shifts completely.
It makes you realize that history is just like this chain reaction of choices and consequences.
Exactly. One event leads to another, and it all spirals out from there.
So we're left with Henry V, stronger than ever, marching towards Troy.
Where the queen and princesses have sought refuge.
Right. He's determined to protect them, win Catherine's heart, and secure that French throne.
It's all coming to a head.
But we're not done yet. There's one last twist that the play throws at us before we get to that final showdown.
Oh.
Remember de Chastel, master manipulator.
Always up to something.
He convinces the Dauphin that Charlois is betraying him,
Oh.
planting those seeds of doubt, driving them further apart.
Divide and conquer.
Exactly. So as we head into the climax of this play,
The stakes are higher than ever.
it's not just about who wins, it's about the cost of that victory.
Right. What will be left when the dust settles?
We'll find out in the final act.
Charlois siding with Henry? I mean, wow. Talk about power move.
Right, it's not just about revenge for his father, it completely changes the whole game.
Totally. And it shows how, in war, alliances can shift so quickly.
1 minute you're on one side, the next, boom,
Yeah.
you're with the enemy.
It really highlights the fragility of it all.
Yeah, especially with France being so divided already.
Right. You have the king, who's, out of the picture.
And the Dauphin, who's causing all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, and now with Burgundy siding with the English, it's
Yeah.
chaos.
Complete chaos. And Henry, he sees an opportunity.
To swoop in and be the hero.
Well, maybe. At least that's how Charlois and his allies see it.
Right, they think Henry can restore order.
And secure peace with England, after all this fighting.
But can he really? I mean, is it that simple?
It's a big gamble, right? They're putting their trust in a foreign king.
Who ultimately has his own goals.
Exactly. And let's not forget about his personal interest in all of this.
You mean his love for Catherine?
Exactly. It's interesting how the play intertwines those two things. The grand political schemes and
And the love story.
yeah, it reminds us that even kings and queens, they're still human. They still have
Healing.
feelings, and those feelings can definitely influence their actions.
For sure. And the play doesn't shy away from exploring those feelings, like in Act 5, when we see Henry pursuing Catherine.
Yeah, he's relentless.
He's really putting it all on the line for her, even with everything else going on.
It's that classic struggle between duty and desire. He's a king, but he's also a man in love.
A man in love. And Catherine, she's not just sitting around waiting for him to sweep her off her feet.
Oh no, she's got her own mind.
She's smart, she's strong-willed.
And she's dealing with some seriously complicated emotions.
Right. On the one hand, there's this attraction to Henry.
But he's the enemy, the one who invaded her country.
It's a moral dilemma, for sure.
It really makes you think, can love really conquer all? Especially in a situation like this.
It's a question that I think a lot of people can relate to, even today,
Yeah, totally. But while Henry and Catherine are figuring things out, the situation with the Dauphin keeps getting worse.
He's spiraling.
He seizes the Queen's treasure, isolates himself even more.
Paranoid, driven by revenge.
Not a good combination. It's a stark contrast to Henry, who, despite his flaws, he seems to be able to unite people.
Yeah, he inspires them.
So we're heading towards this final confrontation,
Henry's forces marching towards Troy.
where the Queen and princesses are.
He's got to protect them, win Catherine over, and finally secure his claim to the throne.
It's all coming down to this.
All the betrayals, the battles, even the love story, it's all leading to this moment.
But before we get there, one last twist.
Oh no, what now?
De Chastel, remember him? He convinces the Dauphin that Charlois is betraying him.
Ugh, that guy. Always stirring the pot.
He's good at it, creating suspicion, driving them apart.
And the Dauphin, he falls for it.
Hook, line, and sinker. It just shows how fragile trust can be, especially in times of war.
So as we move into the climax of the play, it's not just about who wins,
It's about what that victory will cost.
what sacrifices will be made, what will be left behind.
And the big question, will Henry get what he wants? Will Catherine choose love over duty? What will happen to France?
We're about to find out.
It's like the whole play is building towards this final act, and all that tension and mistrust, it's like a powder keg ready to blow.
Oh, absolutely. Deschastel, he's really done a number on the French forces.
They can barely trust each other, let alone fight together, right?
Exactly. And Henry, he's not dumb. He sees that weakness, and he uses it.
He's always been a good strategist, right? But even with everything going on, the play still takes the time to show us Catherine and what she's going through.
Yeah, she's at the heart of it all, isn't she? Torn between her feelings for Henry and, well, everything he represents.
It's got to be tough, right? Falling for the guy who basically conquered your country.
It makes you think about how personal feelings can get all mixed up with politics and war.
And love, right? Can love really exist in the middle of all that?
The play seems to be asking that question.
Yeah, it's definitely not a simple love story.
Not at all. But even with all the romance and intrigue, we still get this incredibly powerful depiction of the final battle.
Oh yeah, it's brutal.
It shows the true cost of war, all the lives lost.
But we also see Henry leading his troops, showing incredible courage.
He's not just fighting for a throne, he's fighting for what he believes in and for Catherine.
And in the end, he wins, right? He defeats the Dauphin, he gets the French throne, he gets the girl.
He gets it all. But the play doesn't end with a simple happily ever after.
There's this sense of, like, what now?
Yeah, what about all the damage that's been done? What about all the lives lost?
Can you really just sweep all that under the rug and say, we won't?
Right, the play makes us think about the consequences, the moral compromises, everything.
It's not just a straightforward historical account. It's more like a reflection on the complexities of power and ambition.
And love, don't forget love.
Of course. So we've reached the end of our deep dive into the history of Henry V.
Quite a journey, right?
It really makes you think, like, are the things we've seen in this play, the conflicts, the betrayals, the love stories, are they still relevant today?
Do we ever really learn from the past?
That's a good question. Something for all of us to ponder.
We hope you enjoyed this theatrical deep dive.
And that it gave you a new perspective on history, Henry V, and maybe even yourselves.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.